Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are diving into another bombshell post from Steve that tackles a huge, and I mean huge, misconception for entrepreneurs. We're talking about the world of grants. You know, that idea that there might be free money just waiting to help you launch your business. Well, if that's ever crossed your mind, you're going to want to stick around for this.
This question, I mean, who hasn't asked this? It's probably one of the first things a new business owner Googles. And it comes from a really understandable place of hope, right? The belief that if you have a great idea, there must be some funding out there to help you get it off the ground. But as Steve's post points out, the real answer, it's not a simple yes or no. It's actually way more complex. And honestly, understanding the reality of the grant world versus the market world is absolutely crucial for your success. So let's break down what he's really uncovered here. So here is the plan. We're going to start by totally busting that myth of startup grants. Then we'll take a quick look at the surprising history of where grants even came from. After that, we'll define the two economic worlds that businesses operate in, see why your business probably doesn't fit the grant model, and, most importantly, we'll point you toward where your real funding is.
All right, let's get right to it. Time to tackle the heart of the matter and debunk this whole idea of free money for startups.
So here it is, the core truth that Steve lays out. Yes, the grant system is massive. We're talking billions and billions of dollars flowing through it. But, and this is the key part, it was never, ever designed for the typical small business just trying to get started. And to really get why that is, we've got to go back in time a little bit. The history of grants tells you everything you need to know about what they're actually for. You know, what's so fascinating here is that grants were never about charity, not at all. They were always leveraged investments by very powerful groups, the crown, the state, and later giant corporations, all to serve their own strategic goals. I mean, think about it. Captain Cook's voyages weren't funded just for the love of science. They were funded to get a strategic naval advantage. The science was just a really valuable add-on for them. This relationship is what you'd call a symbiotic transaction. The funder, the big guy, gets strategic value, like new maps or profitable patents. And the recipient, the person doing the work, gets the resources to do that work. But here's the catch. The work is always done inside the boundaries of what the sponsor wants to achieve. So, all that history brings us right to a really critical distinction that every single entrepreneur out there needs to get their head around to succeed today. You know, it really all boils down to one simple but incredibly powerful question. Who gets to define the problem that you're being paid to solve? And boom, this slide just lays it all out perfectly. In the grant economy, the problem is already picked for you by a government agency or a corporation. Your job is to come up with a solution for their problem. But in the market economy, well, that's where you discover a problem, find an unmet need, and create a solution that real customers will actually pay you for. Two totally different worlds. So what does this actually look like in the real world? Well, let's check out an example of when a grant does work, because it perfectly illustrates why most small businesses just aren't a match. This was a perfect symbiotic fit, right? The government had a super specific, predefined problem. They needed this technical training, and they couldn't just build it themselves. Steve's company had the exact expertise to provide the solution, so the grant funded that very specific project, which, and here's the cool part, then created a whole new market opportunity for his company to commercialize that product later on. And the value that comes from these grants, it flows in two very different directions. Public grants, like the one Steve got, are all about pushing innovation out into the world for the public good. But corporate grants, they're designed to pull innovation in, to harvest ideas for their own private gain and create a competitive edge. So here's the bottom line. Your local coffee shop, your amazing cleaning service, your food truck, as vital and important as they are to the community, they just don't solve the kind of massive, policy-driven, systemic problems that these giant grantors are focused on. Their world is all about macro goals, not the micro impact that makes most small businesses so great. And all of this brings us to the final and I think most important takeaway for any business owner out there, where you should actually be looking for funding. This is the mental shift you have to make. Stop chasing money to fund your dream and start building a solution to a problem that the market will happily pay you to solve. You see the difference? One path is about trying to fit into a funder's box. The other is about creating your own box by serving a customer. And this is really the question Steve leaves us with. It forces you to make a choice.
Are you going to spend your energy adapting your vision to fit someone else's predefined agenda? Or are you going to forge your own path by discovering and solving a real problem in the marketplace?
Look, if this explainer has made you rethink things even a little bit, then I highly recommend you go check out SteveBizBlog.com. It is just packed with more of these essential insights to help you really navigate the small business landscape and figure out how you can truly prosper in today's competitive climate. It's really good stuff.